What's happening, guys? Coming to you with a frequently asked question that we get all the time on my social media, my YouTube, Snapchat. I can get this all the time, so I'm going to make this video to be able to answer this question. If somebody asks me it again, I'm just going to go get this video and I'm going to send it to them so they know the answer to this question. What is this question? What is the benefits of me inverting my sub or not? So we're going to go over that. Here in front of me we have a beautiful DC Audio Level 5 Elite 15-inch subwoofer. And as you can see, this thing's got a lot of booty out back, and it also has nice cooling in the basket design here. It's got the cooling out the back as well on the back plate. But anyway, so the difference on inverting or not. Obviously, most of the systems that you see the subwoofers mounted standardly, or mounted standard. So this is when the subwoofer is mounted like so. Say your box is right here and you have this whole part of the subwoofer down inside the enclosure. So if you have your subwoofer enclosure designed to have this part, your motor and your basket, this whole part of your subwoofer inside of the enclosure, if you're doing a proper design or somebody's designing it for you properly, they're going to calculate this part being inside of your enclosure. So when you build an enclosure, you'll have gross cubic feet and you'll also have net cubic feet. So gross is just your, say you had 2 cubes gross, or for this sub I think it's around 3.5 is what they require. So let's say you have 3.5 cubic feet gross. So that's all the space inside of these given dimensions that you have. But when you go in there and you start putting bracing, you start putting the angles or the ports, and you also put your subwoofer in there, and this part right here hangs down into the box, that's going to subtract airspace from inside of your box. So that's when you get your net number. So say you have 3.5 cubic feet gross, you're going to have say 2.75 or 3 cubic foot net. So that's when you subtract how much you're taking out for this whole sub, your bracing and your port and everything like that. So which to me, I know people have also asked, which way do you prefer? Do you prefer standard mount or do you prefer inverted? If you look at my Tahoe, you'll see the subwoofer, or subwoofers with an S, they are inverted. Why is this? For me, I demo a lot and I want to be able to try to cool off my subwoofers as quickly as possible. So in order to do that, you flip your subwoofer upside down and you're able to have the motor and your basket and everything, all these things that are building up heat, you can have them out into the atmosphere where air can pass over them and cool them off a lot better, and that helps cool them down a lot faster. If my subs in my Tahoe were mounted standard and those magnets and like the whole sub assembly was inside of my 4th order, so when you have a 4th order enclosure, your subwoofers are mounted inside of a sealed enclosure. So once they start heating up in there, that heat cannot go anywhere. It cannot get out of that box. It turns into a furnace inside of there, because I mean these things will reach, or my subs in my truck will reach over 300 degrees when they're playing. So you can imagine having them stuck inside of that for who knows how long, and they can't get rid of that heat. But when you invert the subs, they're out inside of the box, and I also have fans inside of my enclosure. So when I'm done demoing, I'll turn those high flow fans on that we've done the videos on. Have the same ones in my Tahoe mounted on the wall of the enclosure. When you turn those on, it forces air out, or it forces air past. So in my truck, they're kind of mounted over here. So when you turn them on, that air goes like this, and it goes past the subs, and then it goes back out into the cab of the Tahoe. So it's able to get rid of the heat off of the motors, the baskets, everything just trying to dissipate heat. It can get air past there and cool them off a lot faster. Whereas, like I said, if it was mounted in their standard, it would be stuck. All that heat would be stuck inside the enclosure, and there's nothing you can do about it. My subwoofer enclosure has been specifically built to, well, initially it was built for the subs to be standard mounted in there, but when I had the subs built the second time, they built them so they would perform well with them being inverted. So again, all this stuff is very important in how you have your box designed, and also what your subwoofer is designed to be in as well. So anyway, benefits of having your subwoofer inverted is better cooling. You're going to be able to cool off your subwoofer better. And if you have a subwoofer box built and you feel like you're a little shy on airspace, you can, if you invert your sub, you're going to gain, say this is going to take a, we'll just use half a cubic foot. Like all this right here inside of a subwoofer box is going to take up half a cubic foot of space inside there. So if you flip the subwoofer upside down and now this is outside of the box, you're going to gain that half a cube, and that might get you to where you want to be. Because some people will say, oh, I flipped my sub upside down and it sounds better, it plays lower, whatever it might be. Then that lets you know that their subwoofer enclosure was a little bit too small, and then when they flipped it over, they got better performance out of it because it got the subwoofer into the enclosure that it should be playing in. So anyway, and the short of things, better cooling. It's not really going to typically change the loudness or anything like that unless you're really choking your subwoofer off from not having enough airspace. But I think the biggest thing is better cooling, because you're able to get air past there. If you have a ported enclosure, you'll get decent airflow in there because you have the port there, but that air that's in there is still pretty stagnant. So you're just going to gain more airspace. You're going to be able to cool off your subs a lot better. That pretty much answers all the questions I believe about this in as much detail as I could, so you can fully understand the difference between being inverted and being standard mount, and the benefits or the pros and cons of either one. If you need anything car audio, be sure to hit us up at downforsoundshop.com, especially for some nice subwoofers like this, these DC audios. We are your #1 source for DC audio, and much more. We'll see you in the next one. Yo, what's up guys? If you want to see more of the hot content that you just saw in that video, be sure to follow me on all my social media channels, from YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. The Life of Price is my handle on there. Also have Down for Sound Shop on Facebook and Instagram, and don't forget Snapchat is JPD4S. Check out all the hot content on there as well.